here at the Holiday Inn or early next week at WJTN. Cassette copies of the Saturday Breakfast Party are only $5. Thanks for tuning into our show.
Good morning, I'm Jim Roselle.
And I'm Russ Diethrick.
And welcome to the Times of Your Life. The Times of Your Life brought to you each Saturday at this time on WJTN, presented this morning by the Jamestown Automobile Club, Jamestown Savings Bank, Camera Infirmary, the Carnahan's Clothing Company, The Greenery, Jan's Vacuum Cleaner and Sewing Machines, Tanglewood Manor, Time Warner Cable, Esquire Cleaners, and Rowan Taylor Reynolds. Good morning, Russ Diethrick.
Good morning, Jim. Nice to be with you this morning.
We have a special guest, and possibly two, if we reach one of them by phone this morning. But we look forward to a nice February morning here with the Ice Castle underway out in Mayville. Was a nice activity in the area.
We had a great night last night, I guess.
Yeah. Russ Diethrick and I, by the way, were just in the room, Russ's favorite room.
The green room.
The green room.
That's where the coffee pot is.
That's where the coffee pot is, and that's where we first bring our guests that are going to be on the broadcast, let them relax with a cup of happiness, and then we get sort of acquainted, although we've known this gentleman for years.
Seems forever.
But we're delighted he brought his scrapbook with him, old photos, and he even found one that will certainly have a meaningful purpose for me when he does bring it to me. So we're going to go back to an era in town when fruit stands and vegetable stands were prevalent in many areas of the city or just on the outskirts of the city. Our guest is Pete Carlo. Pete, welcome to our broadcast.
Oh, very glad to be here, Jim. It's certainly an honor for me to be up here at WJTN because really there's a lot of fond memories for me, too, in my personal life. I go back so many, many years ago with Ray Wheeler and Dorothy Brooks.
You were on the Boy Scout show?
Boy Scouts are on the air. I was 11 years old.
Were you?
I was 11 years old, so that puts me up in about the 65-year-old range now. But it was just great and such fond memories, and I pass those on to my children today as a day when their grandfather played on the radio.
Do they want to listen to those stories, Pete? That's what I want.
After about the 14th time, they don't want to hear them anymore. They don't want to hear them anymore. They say they've heard them, you know. But it's something that I want them to remember, that it was an accomplishment in my life and one that I'll never forget.
Well, we're delighted to have you, and thank you for sharing that wonderful story that part of your life was spent right here in the studios of WJTN Radio. Russ Diethrick, a lot of wonderful pictures we viewed in the green room. Yes. And we're going to. Pete says if this was television, you know, and I said, look, radio is, radio lets people use their imagination, as we say.
Okay.
And they're going to use it this morning because we're going to describe those photos and those ads you brought with you.
There's some prices there you can't believe, Jim. 2 large heads for 19 cents. Iceberg lettuce.
That'll tell you how far back we go on this broadcast.
Well, people have a lot of memories when you begin to talk about these pictures driving up and down Foot Avenue.
But wait, the interesting story that we want Pete Carlo to start with, and we're going to let him do that in just a moment, is how a business got started. And ladies and gentlemen, tune up your volume because you won't believe how this business literally started on Foot Avenue Extension. The Carlo's, was it called the Fruit Market?
Carlo's Fruit Market.
Okay, listen very carefully in just a moment. But Russ and I have a couple of unfinished matters to deal with here this morning, right, Russ?
Yes, we do, Jim.
And number one, on the Times of Your Life in early December, we did a broadcast from the Quality Market on Fruitana, which, by the way, will be our broadcast location next week.
For the Heart program.
For the Heart Radiothon. And we did the show for the second year for the Salvation Army and the Kettle Campaign. And
good response that morning.
We certainly did. We received a wonderful fax from Dan Johansson, who is chairman for the Human Services Committee of the Salvation Army. And we want to share that information with you because it is what we call a follow-up to a story. You hear about the campaign, you hope it was a success, and you'd like to know, just what kind of response the community gave. And the Salvation Army Board, the Salvation Army Human Services Committee, wants to share with you the results of that campaign. So listen carefully. Between monies raised at the kettles and the direct money donations and used coat donations and angel tree gifts purchased, the Salvation Army was able to serve 670 families, 2,425 individuals, 767 new children's coats, 103 used children's coats. The Angel Tree program, they were distributing 322 pairs of new boots, 1,242 hats, gloves, mittens, and scarves.
Wow, well, that is a lot.
Terrific.
Count that, that's 1,941 clothing items, let alone 1,920 toys, books, and games.
Wow. Well, they touched a lot of people this holiday season.
They did.
Wow.
And they wanted to share that. They said along with the Greater Jamestown community and the AM Rotary Club and you and I participating with a broadcast, it made their campaign a great success. And they don't want to forget Anderson Cleaners in the Post-Journal, who also participated in the campaign. And there was one other note. He wrote a second fax because he forgot this one on the first one. 660 dinners were served Christmas, and 2,000 bags of food were distributed.
2,000.
Wow, that's terrific.
The Salvation Army, they say thank you, and they wanted you to hear the results of
Nice
that
of them to
campaign.
share that with the community.
Thank you, Dan Johansson. This is the Times of Your Life on WJTN Radio. Our guest, Pete Carlo. It goes back to the vegetable and fruit stand era. Thanks to our production assistants, Diane Jordan and Kathy Roselle.
That was great. That was great.
Did you have many days you had to put a sign out in this? We have no been there.
There were some days when we ran out of stock and we had to send out for emergency orders, but there was very, very few. We made sure our customers had everything we got coming to them.
Russ Diethrick, let's pause here for just a moment on our broadcast. And Pete, we want you to start your story here with how the Carlos Market really got underway.
Well, all right.
Hold on to that story because it'll come right after Russ has this word from one of our sponsors.
Our friends at Roland's Taylor Rental at 425 West Main Street in Faulkner is your complete rental center where they have it all and can provide it all for you. Bruce and Tim Rowan handle the tools of the trade for all kinds of remodeling home repair jobs that you have. Now, they can show you the proper way to operate machinery. They can lend you a video explaining techniques for the project that you're going to be undertaking, or they can give you booklets and pamphlets on the topic. They'll rent equipment to clean your present carpeting or wood flooring. If you're going to do a complete remodeling job, Rowan's offers equipment to remove all types of flooring, be it wood, tile, carpeting, or even concrete. If you're planning a wood floor in your new addition, you can rent a power nailer and sander and make that job much easier and much more complete for you. Rowan's carry shop vac for after the job cleanup. They have scaffolding and ladders to give you a safe place to work from, and even have heaters to make it more comfortable if necessary. And they can even deliver these items to you at a nominal charge. So if you're getting ready to take on a project or a job or you want to explore something, go in and see Bruce and Tim at Roland Taylor Rental at 425 West Main Street in Faulkner. They're your complete rental center and they'll have the answers for you.
I wouldn't be surprised, Russ, if folks are down there this morning picking up the necessary items for their weekend project.
I wouldn't.
That's a wonderful habit on Saturday mornings, I think.
And they talk about delivery. And the nice thing I've had to experience several times is the folks down there will help you load your car or your truck or some of the heavier items.
But, you know, the important thing, like you said, is that anything you do rent, if you're not acquainted with it, they will give you a sort of a first course instruction on how to rent it and use it, and then bring it back at your convenience. Rowan Taylor Rental in Falconer, New York. Pete Carlo, and hopefully by phone we will have another guest on our broadcast this morning. There certainly were a number of people that could have been in the studio. We could have probably filled the studio with a number of people. This is a time of year where some are not available because of vacation time and so on. But Pete will be the voice, and I'm sure represent many that were in the business, because I think everybody in that business knew everybody.
Well, that's true. We're like one big family, Jim. In those days, you had your wholesale places and your retail houses, but we were all interconnected personally as well as, friendly basis. Nice bunch of people in those days.
You were showing Russ Diethrick a photo of the first building that existed for the Carlos Market on Foote Avenue Extension, and then you went into the story of how it all came about.
How it all began.
Please share that with our audience.
I'm going to pass that on to you right now. I can only start with my father, George Carlo, and my mother was Josephine Carlo, and they were married in Dunkirk, New York, and I entered in the world in 1931, Jim, when I made my first appearance, and my brother Louis made his appearance 3 years later. Well, as the story goes, as I understand, and I've heard this so many times, and it's a story that I like to pass on to my children and their grandchildren.
You're hearing it for the 15th time.
Right. But it's something that we like to remember, because it was about a man who came to this country from another country with a minimum of education, without the benefit of a lot of money, who literally had to work his way up from the ground up. And I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of my father. I'm sorry he's not here with us today, as he was deceased 50 years ago. But nevertheless, this is about a man who pioneered, if you will, with very little money and anything behind him. And how it all started, he met my mother in Dunkirk, New York, and they got married, and they had a business in North Warren, Pennsylvania, and I'm talking about my Uncle Dominic and my father George. They had a business down there. So they had occasion to go to Buffalo 2 or 3 times a week, and as well as the local wholesale houses, to buy their fruit, to bring it down to North Warren to display and to sell it, and go back and buy more. That's what it was in those days. You bought it and sold it and bought it and sold it. Well, this particular day, coming down Foote Avenue, down Route 60 into Warren, my father had, unfortunately, a flat tire on the 1.5-ton truck that they owned. And in replacing the tire, he jacked up the truck, and he's lifting the truck up in the air, and the cars start parking along the side of the road. It was unbelievable. And they actually thought he was, selling right off the truck, which he wasn't. It was just occasion of trying to replace the tire. And the people were saying, well, those peaches for sale? He says, yes, if you wanted to buy some. So he sold a basket of peaches. Then he says, well, how about the tomatoes? And how about the prunes and the pears? And it kept going on and on. It took my father almost 4 hours to change a tire because of the many, many interruptions of the people. But after changing the tire, he drove down into Warren, and he told his brother, he says, a funny thing just happened to me. Somebody's telling me to do something about that. I had a flat tire up on Foote Avenue. I've got to go back, find out who owns that property, and see whether or not I can start a business there. It's like driving a stake in the ground. Mm-hmm. So he went up, and he found out that the property was owned by Samuel Kidder, the Kidder Farms, who owned most of that area in those days from South Main down to Foote Avenue. And Mr. Kidder was kind enough and thoughtful enough to allow my father to buy this property. It's about 2.5 acres there on Foote Avenue, which was nowhere near like what it is today. Of course, it was all fields and trees, and an old stream used to run through there. I remember years ago we used to play cowboys and Indians up in the back. But he started off with just a very small, I'm telling you, it was an 8x10 place. And as the money came in, as the business improved, he would get that money, go out and buy more, and improve and build on and add, knock down, renew. It was done really the very, very hard way that you can do it. And in doing so, he also worked in the shop in Jamestown, and all the money he made, he put it in the business to make the business better. And we came to Jamestown after he put up a house there. about 1933, 34. I was born in 31, so that makes me about 2 or 3 years of age when I first came to Jamestown. I might add, it's a joke that I always use, I really didn't want to come. I cried all the way. But nevertheless, I was here, and I came into the business at a very, very young age, and that's how, we started dealing with people very young.
Now, did you ever play the game of what if you didn't have the flat tire?
Well, that's right. What if it didn't happen? What if it didn't happen? What if you went through that area and nothing happened? Nothing would have happened. It's amazing that something like that would happen. And that's exactly the way it started, and it's truly unbelievable.
Well, listen, Pete, that's a wonderful start to the story of a market that was certainly part of people's lives for many years to come, and we're going to share that with the audience on the Times of Your Life on WJTN Radio. But we pause for this word from the President's Day sale that continues through Monday at Carnahan's Clothing Company. It's in progress right now at the corner on Fairmount Avenue, right there opposite the Walmart Plaza. You can save on all kinds of men's and young men's clothing. This is the President's Day sale, the outerwear, the furnishings. And this sale is today, tomorrow, they're open on Sunday, and Monday, President's Day. So listen to some prices. Selected ties, they're sale priced from $10 to $17.50. Selected dress and casual slacks are $17.50 to $47.50 a pair. Selected men's sweaters are now $27.50 to $42.50. Winter jackets on sale from $32.50 to $212.50. Men's suits, you'll find a selection there priced at $122.50 to $187. Wool top coats, $137.50 to $162. And selected big and tall sports shirts are on sale from $11 to $27.50 each. Selected men's sport coats are sale priced during the President's Day sale, $72.50 to $122.50 at the Carnahan Clothing Company, Fairmount Avenue. The President's Day sale is underway.
Well, they want to be there, don't they, Jim? Huh? Well, our friends at Tanglewood Manor, they offer an adult daycare program Monday through Friday from 8 until 4:30. Now, to ensure appropriate attention, they only take about 20 individuals. The program includes breakfast at 8:30 and lunch at 12:30. Plus, they have that great morning coffee break and the afternoon juice break. The participants in the adult daycare program at Tanglewood Manor, they join the residents in a variety of activities, such as the games they have, a musical program, religious service if they desire, a great crafts program, and many, many community outings. The Tanglewood Barber and Beauty Shop facilities are also available to those at the adult daycare program that are there. They can relax and watch TV in one of the many, many Tanglewood lounge areas if they prefer to do that. So if you're interested in more information on the Tanglewood Manor Adult Daycare Program for yourself or a relative, contact Janelle Sloga at 483-2876. That's 483-2876. The participants in the adult daycare program must be ambulatory and capable of caring for themselves with just a minimal assistance. Also, a medical evaluation from a physician is required within 30 days prior to the admission in the program. But take care of those preliminary things and contact the folks at Tanglewood Manor for a great, great program. Pete?
How you doing, Russ?
I'm doing fine. You shared with me prior to Dunkirk your family's arrival. Just to give us a little bit of that also.
Okay, well, before my father arrived in Dunkirk, him and his brother landed in New York City. Most everybody coming in landed in New York, and they worked around the New York area for about, 2 or 3 years, about 19 or 20 years of age at that time. And after being there for a couple of years, and the city was just too fast for them, was just not what they wanted. They were more or less to a slower pace of life. They moved from there into Dunkirk, New York, because they had cousins there. The only reason, they had cousins there that came over previously from Italy, so it was a place for them to go and know people, know some family. And that is where these picked up with my mother.
Came and found their way to Foot Avenue.
Foot Avenue, 30 miles away. And that's
what are your early remembrances of the fruit market on Foot Avenue?
I have so many, many pleasant memories because I met so many wonderful people in those days. And after all, I was 8, 9 years old waiting on people who were grandmothers and grandfathers. And in that relationship, I might add, all these years, it's still there. And I'm still talking to people today that remember the Carlos way back in those early years. A lot of them tell me, I remember you were running around just 8, 9 years old. And they still remember that because the genuine feeling among other people. Ours was like, they come there Sometimes they'd spend $1 and sometimes they didn't. But that really didn't matter. It really didn't matter. It was the closeness of it that really counted, and we were able to survive. But those years I'll never forget, and it was just so much fun. It was like a family, you know.
Fortunately, Pete, you have pictures with you.
A lot of pictures.
It's a wonderful thing that was done because you have some fabulous memories now, and of course, I didn't realize your sign was so big and so bold that once existed on there.
Right. Well, that was put up by, Coca-Cola would help us out. We really didn't have the money to do anything like that, but they would came down and put up a sign and give us the chance to advertise our business, in the meantime advertising their own product. And that's the way things were done in them days. When you didn't have the money to put it up yourself, you wanted a lot of support from other people to help you.
That was in the mid-50s, about
This here was in 1957.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not we're on radio, but I got a picture here, 1937. Then it graduates 20 years later to 57, and accomplishments were made in those 20 years. And then we finally ended up in 1977, which a picture I've got here, where the old Carlos Fruit Market was. If many of those that are listening to my voice can remember, when the old Carlos Market now is now the Bonnywood Plaza. So we've graduated from an old fruit market back in 1937 up into the present, which is now the Bonnywood Plaza, the home of the JB Liquor Store, the Allstate Insurance, and Mr. Chairman. So we've come an awful long way. But the bottom line, what is the bottom line? The bottom line is of a man who had a dream. He came to this country from Italy with very little money and education, wanted to know and had to work for himself, and he did. And he did wonderful, and that I'll always remember for the rest of my life.
What about your brother Lou?
Now, Louis is 3 years older than me, and
didn't he run around too?
Oh yes, yes. Now, Louis very involved.
Did he start telling jokes at the age of 3?
Oh yeah, Louis, he loves to tell jokes. As you know, Louis is involved with a lot of things in the Jamestown area. Many of them, as you well know. And so Louis has been very involved in our business. And matter of fact, as we speak, we're still business partners.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
We're happy to hear that. And by the way, before we let time elapse too quickly here on this broadcast, Pete Carlo, as we said earlier, we could have a number of people here that were involved in the business. Give us some of the family names that were in place along with not only Carlos, but you had names like Bondi.
Right. Well, like I said, in the early days, we used to go to Bailey Clinton Market in Buffalo. But nevertheless, when we ran out of stock in Jamestown, we didn't have occasion to go to Buffalo because that would take away, 4 or 5 hours out of a day. We didn't have that time to spare. We dealt with the local wholesale dealers in Jamestown, and I'm going to name off a few. These are the ones that I remember. Frank Donato, 8th Street. Lenny Camella, Joe Camella, 1st Street. Ralph and Sam's store on 3rd Street.
That's the Lamantia boys.
Right. Sam Bondi down on Harrison Street. They were wholesalers. They went to Buffalo and bought heavy stock, and we used to buy from them. But without them, we couldn't have survived either.
No, but we want to give them certain credit because they were part of that scene of that era.
But definitely. We couldn't survive without them.
Who were some of your competitors?
In our time, remember down on Fluvanna Avenue, it was Johnson's.
Oh, yes.
They had a nice roadside market down there, very nice. And then, of course, you had Ralph and Sands up on 3rd Street. Down in Faulkner, which is our neighboring village over here, he had the Tedescos, Tony Tedesco and his children. And he had a very successful business there on the corner. And then you go out in towards Gary Way. There was markets out that way. And then, of course, you go further out and you had country markets. But yes, there was room for everybody in those days. Room for everybody.
The story on the times of your life with Pete Carlo, and of course he's bringing in a number of families that everybody can relate to that once were part of the retail scene, the vegetable and fruit stands that dominated the area. And we're going to keep with that story in just a moment. We pause for this message from the Jamestown Savings Bank. The times of your life on WJTN Radio. We're going to read some, or Pete will be reading some prices here very shortly. And what we do, this is a disclaimer. These prices do not exist today. Please do not go to your local market and expect to find these prices on the times of your life. Did you sell peanuts?
Peanuts? No peanuts.
Oh, that's the peanut vendor.
Oh, no, I
No
didn't have
peanuts.
any of those.
Well, listen, the Times of Your Life has a call coming through that we were expecting here this morning, so let me introduce a name that Pete Carlo just brought into play here, the Lamantillas. Ralph, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How are you? Good morning.
Good morning, Jim. How you doing?
Pretty good. We're talking about a life your family once led there in the fruit and vegetable business.
Yeah, those are the days.
Where were you located, Ralph?
The corner of Lafayette and 3rd.
Lafayette and 3rd.
Yeah, the building has been torn down. We were in the basement.
You were in the basement?
Yeah, we took over the basement of the building.
How did they find you?
Well, I'm very simple. Put the stuff out there and they found it. Yeah, those are the days when you didn't have to do too much advertising. The personal touch was more important, I think, than anything else.
A lot of the people in the neighborhood probably shopped there too, Ralph, didn't
Yeah,
they? Yeah.
yeah.
What year did the Lamantillas go into business, Ralph?
1951.
Uh-huh. And how long were you there at that location?
16 years.
16 years. Oh.
Yeah.
Did you help out as a young boy?
No, I worked for, you remember Charlie? Remember Charlie's Fruit Market?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, you remember that.
That was across from the City Hall, I think.
Yeah, right.
His last name was Heinzelman, wasn't it?
Meiselman.
Meiselman, that's right. Very good.
Yeah.
And you worked...
I worked for him since I was a kid. I was a junior in high school. Needed to work very badly. Needed to do something.
Uh-huh.
And I went over there and he sized me up. And said, "You'll do me." And he hired me at very, very minute wages, I might add.
I was going to say, what kind of wages did you make?
Okay, God, I worked, well, I hate to say it. It's an source of embarrassment.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it
You should be
isn't...
proud of it, Ralph.
It isn't so, Ralph, when you think, wages at that time certainly weren't, the greatest. And that goes with the time period. Sure, I can tell you the starting wage here, and you'd be shocked, But the experience was what was beneficial to you.
Yeah, yeah. Even the day I graduated, would you believe I graduated at I think 12 o'clock or so, and I was to work an hour later.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Well, wait a minute, Ralph.
So
I believe you because I did the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
The ceremony was over. I walked home with
your career, Jim.
I walked home with my mom
Yeah.
and had a little lunch. And I went to work.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the way it was.
We're come from the same era, Jim. As a matter of fact, we didn't live too far apart.
No, we didn't, Ralph. But I wanted you to share the story. Pete's going to read some prices here. Do you recall some prices of your fruit and vegetables?
Oh boy. Well, the big price was bananas. We had a connection in Warren where we got a part of a carload of bananas every week, and we had to move them. We had 20, 30 bunches.
Uh-huh.
That's whole bunches of bananas. And we put them out there, 5 pounds for, I don't know, 39 cents or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It was cheap. I got an ad here someplace that if I could find it, but
That's all right, Ralph. We wanted to say hello to you and thank you for calling us back because you certainly were part of it as well as others. We couldn't get in touch with everybody, but we're happy you shared your story with us. Was the whole family involved?
No, just Sam and I. Sam Trask.
And Sam was a partner with you?
Yeah.
I see.
Sam did the trucking. We had a truck. He did the trucking, and I took care of the retail. And when he wasn't on the road, he was with me.
Now, what was the market that was over closer to the 3rd Street Bridge, almost on the corner by the bridge?
That's where we went for the last 5 years.
You were there the last 5 years. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We were there after Loblaws opened up. Well, there was a Loblaws across the street, and there was an AP down the street, and the Quality. They had a lot of competition. Man, I tell you, the competition.
I think where you were at Lafayette, or Jefferson, wasn't there a used car lot there eventually?
Right next door.
Right next door. Uh-huh.
Yeah, right next door. There was a used car lot. It was
Johnson's?
oh, what's his name?
Wasn't it a fellow named Johnson or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Ralph, we thank you so much for sharing that with us this
Well, it's a
morning.
real pleasure. It's kind of nice to be thought about.
Well, we certainly think about the times and the families and the people that put in a long work day. What was a long work day like, Ralph? Just to answer that question.
Well, 8 o'clock in the morning till 6 at night we were open. But then we had to go out and get loads of stuff, like, for instance, loads of peaches and loads of apples, solid loads, tomatoes.
So when you were done at 6, you were out trucking, bringing supplies in for the next day.
Yeah.
That's a long 12-hour day or better, wasn't it?
And then we had to unload it. So that we'd be ready for the next day.
Did you ever find a rotten apple in a bushel?
I guess. I guess. Yeah.
Well, Ralph, thank you so much.
Jim, it's a pleasure.
Thank you,
Ralph.
Bye-bye.
Sean, Willie.
Well, how about that?
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Ralph Lamantia, who shared his story with us. We'll pause. We'll be back with Pete Carlo here in just a moment on fruits and vegetable stands that once dominated the area. Russ?
Yes, we see the photographs that Pete has with us this morning. Somebody had some excitement and took those photographs, and people are still doing that today. The photo processing is a snap if you take it to the camera in front of you and photo play.
WJTN Radio, presented each Saturday morning. I'm Jim Roselle.
And Russ Diethrick.
And our guest here live in the studio is Pete Carlo. By phone, it was Ralph Lamantia. We want to share a letter we received here from Bill Collins at Jan's Vacuum and Sewing Center, which is located at 1024 Washington Street in Jamestown. Jan and Bill Collins. Their number is 487-0957. It says, "Hi, Jim and Russ. You're not going to believe me. You're not going to believe me. Nobody's going to believe me. I had the opportunity to speak with a lady in reference to repairing her Phantom vacuum cleaner. Upon completion of the repair, I turned the vacuum cleaner on. Now, Jim and Russ, I told you you're not going to believe me. The sound of the motor was a symphony to my ears. At first, just a simple pulse, a nothing sound, and then bassoons and bass horns in common time. And then suddenly, high above, a lone oboe. A single note hanging and unwavering until a clarinet took it over and sweetened it to a phrase of pure delight. A sound beyond belief. Instantly, I heard 76 trombones in sweet harmony. A miraculous sound. See, I told you wouldn't believe me. If you whistle while you work, you might help the symphony just a little. You must obtain a Phantom vacuum cleaner from me, or at least view a demonstration to be knowledgeable. COD means come on down.
Come on down.
Goodwill doesn't build character, it reveals it. Ma and I came to Jamestown Christmas Eve, 1979. We have made many good friends, have had a lot of times of just plain enjoyable memories in Jamestown. Jamestown has been like a Christmas present from you to Ma and me. We thank all you nice people. We thank you. That's Jan and Bill Collins, 1024 Washington, 487-0957.
He gets pretty emotional, doesn't he?
Thank you very much for the nice letter.
Very nice.
Pete Carlo.
Yeah, Jim.
Just to give prices, read a few if you can here on ads you ran during the time your dad and you and the family was in business.
Okay, some of these prices are truly unbelievable, and let's start off with large heads lettuce, iceberg, 2 heads for 19 cents. We had sun-kissed lemons, the large variety kind, 39 cents a dozen. Cooking onions, here's a big special. We all could grab up some of these. 5 pounds for a quarter. Sun-kissed oranges, 2 dozen, 45 cents. Yellow ripe bananas, right off the stock, 2 pounds for a quarter. Large green cucumbers, the large variety kind, 5 for 25 cents. Here's a big bargain. Everybody should grab half a gallon of this. Ice cream, half gallon, 79 cents. All right, how about some Domino Pure cane sugar, 5 pounds, 49 cents.
Okay, Pete, that gives us an idea of the era we're in here when you were making those sales. Was business, I mean, when you started out and you remember as a young boy, when Dad or Pa would talk about it at home, was each year getting bigger and bigger and bigger? How was the growth part of the business going?
Well, when we started off, of course, we looked to our father and mother for the best advice they could give us, after all. And he used to tell us over and over again, he says, in this world, there's only one way you can get things, and you have to work for them. You have to go out and make your efforts and really put your nose to the stone, just like the rest of the fellows, I mean, like Ralph and Sam and the rest of them. You have to work hard to get what you want. Nobody's going to hand you anything. You have to go out and be honest about it and make a very successful living, and you'll come to enjoy your fruits in the future. And he was totally correct. I believe that. I really believe that.
Well, certainly, I'm sure Russ's dad the same way. All you had to do is just, if we talk so much about role models today, right?
Right.
They were right there at home.
Right there, right at our fathers and mothers.
You didn't have to go very far,
That's true.
Right. And it was interesting talking about role models. It was interesting the other day. It was the last week, I believe, when they were talking to Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley, these basketball stars who were making untold fortunes, or unbelievable fortunes, a better way to put it. And they were saying, do you realize you're a role model? Michael Jordan says, I don't accept myself as the role model that they should look at. Youngsters today should look first to their parents.
Right.
And nice way to put it. He said, following that, if they admire what I do, that's fine. But look at their parents who can set the stage for their life, their life's personality.
My father used to tell us things like, whatever you're doing here, if you have to work 10, 12 hours a day, you got to remember the bottom line is you're really doing it for yourself, because your future is here just like mine is here, and whatever I have will be yours someday. So,
you stayed in that location for how many years?
Oh, my gosh. Well, we're still there, as a matter of fact, in a different line of work. But we started there, I stayed from 1933, so what are we talking about, 65 years.
Well, what was the last year for the fruit stand? Do you remember?
1965.
65.
In 1965, what it was that we could see, the bigger stores were literally taking over the smaller stores, and we were being phased out. So we could either stay there and bang our head against the wall, trying to make a living 12, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, or try to move on to something else, try to jump into the changing times. Well, we saw a need to change, and we could have done several things in that time. We could have sold the area as it was, or to develop it into something better for ourselves, and we chose to do the latter. And we literally tore everything down. It was hard doing that because my father worked so hard to put it up, but nevertheless, we tore everything down within a year, and within 3 years, we started to grow from the bottom up, which is, again, I feel is a tribute to my father, and we now call it the Bonnywood Plaza.
And you have a number of tenants there now.
We have 7 stores leasing from us.
And that was the location?
That was the prime location, the old Carlos Market. And matter of fact, today, even, Jim, when I drive down there, I keep saying this, I'm going down to the market. I'm going down to the market, because that's what I knew. The Bonnywood Plaza is just something that grew out of the ruins of Carlos Market, but that was the birth.
Thank you very much, Pete. We'll continue here in just a moment, but let me make a suggestion here. Our Times of Our Life broadcast, we've received word here that one of our listeners who just wants to pass word along, they finally remember the area you're talking about, and they thank you for passing along those nice memories. So there's a reaction immediately here. Pete Carlo, did you think you'd be in the fruit business,
Well,
as a young boy?
Right? Well, yes, I really thought so. I remember in our time when I was going to high school, my father used to tell me things like, we get out of school at 2 o'clock, and, 2:30, we had to be down on Foot Avenue to help display the fruit. And there were many times that I wanted to go up to the basketball team or the football team, and my father said, well, do they pay you to play basketball or football? I said, well, no, it's a sport, Pa. It's something that they do, one school against another, and it's something I really love to get involved in. I love sports, and even today I love sports. He said, no, he says, you better come down here. You better be down here to go to work. So that's where we were brought up. But do I hold it against him? Absolutely not.
Let me ask, Russ, you've got a question, I'm sure.
Well, I was just looking. I see on the photographs some beautiful displays of the fruit. Is that what you would spend your time? A lot of effort was put in just to display of them.
Of course, being in the fruit business, it's a very perishable type business, and you're either sorting out or constantly rearranging, trying to make your appearances ever more delightful to your customers. Yes, it was a constant job to keep the place looking neat, and from the time you got there and start opening up until the time you close, it was constant work. There's always something to do, either working with the fruit or waiting on customers or taking the merchandise out to their vehicles, whatever.
Let me ask you a question here, Pete, if I can, because time is running. What percentage of the fruit was was wasted or wasn't sold? And
and depending on what you're handling, I would say you're looking at maybe 20 to 30% was waste. It was that serious. And once the fruit becomes spotted, of course nobody wanted to buy it, and you either had to eat the fruit that was spotted, or like my father used to do so many times, he'd give it away to a needy family because the fruit was spotted doesn't necessarily mean you have to throw it away. But he would give it to the families who was really deserving of it. And but yes, there is a lot of loss.
What was the most popular fruit at that time? If you could, check your sales receipts.
Well, I would say peaches, apples, pears. Those are the items that they used quite a bit.
Nope.
Most other items were seasonal, like
Well, what caused the most excitement? The watermelon coming in?
watermelons. We used to get them by the truckload, and we display them out, and you size them out, small, medium, and large. And as they grew, you got a little bit more money for them. But I remember on 4th of July, my God, it was just wall-to-wall people, everybody going on picnics and such, and we're there working. I tell you, there was a lot of times it hurt, because I really wanted to go along with them, but that's the nature of the business.
Well, let's take one more pause here on our broadcast this morning on the Times of Your Life. Our guest, Pete Cottle, earlier by phone. We had a visit with Ralph Lamantia. We've certainly talked about the Tedescos, the Bondis, the Donatos, and the Camellas. They were all in business, and among all of those, the Johnsons got in there somewhere.
Yeah, the Johnsons were there.
They had a big plant over there in Savannah, didn't they?
You've got, how about the Petersons today?
That's right.
Look at that wonderful, big, wonderful market that still exists on Fluvanna Avenue.
Well out there.
Very well. Okay, Russ.
And another one's been doing well, of course, are our ladies at the Esquire